Right now, millions of Americans are waiting for their tax refunds because millions have blown through their savings, are living at home, have used credit cards just to survive, and now they're pushing the limits. They don't have any money. They don't have any way to pay their bills. And now millions could be screwed. Well, according to Scott Bessent, he says that our tax refunds are going to come in the highest we've ever seen, where millions of households are going to receive an extra $1,000 this year. And that right there should be enough to get you back on your feet. I'm here to tell you $1,000 for a household is not going to do it and will not get you back on your feet. But millions of people are already struggling. Look at this. I'm 29 years old. I've been living back at home for 3.5 years now, and I still have no savings. Millions of people have gone through life-changing events. They've lost their job. They've moved back home with their parents or siblings just to make ends meet. They've relied on credit cards. And now we're being told that, well, our tax refunds are coming and you will be made whole once again. No. Look at this right here. It says tax refund update, an extra $1,000 for 100 million American families. What is $1,000 going to do for you? Is it going to get you caught up with your rent and your mortgage? Is it going to help you pay off your credit cards that you've racked up over the past several months or even the past several years? Likely not. We know right now that the average credit card user has over $6,500 in debt. $1,000 is only going to make a small dent in that. I want to show you something though, because we do have some good news just today. The House of Representatives, they did pass a partial government funding bill, which means the government will reopen. President Trump, likely today, if not tomorrow morning, is going to sign this bill, which means it will then go through. It would be passed by the Senate previously and the House. So, good news there, but there's more bad news there right now. There's more bad news than anything else. And I hate to be the one that tells you this, but what we are seeing in this economy is scary. I've said this before. Experts were telling us that 2025 was going to be a bad year, and it was. But 2026, it's going to be miserable. It's going to be even tougher. We are going to see more people lose their jobs. We are going to see rates likely keep going up. The Federal Reserve just last week decided to keep interest rates where they were, which means buying a house still expensive, buying a car still expensive. President Trump wanted on January 20th all banks to put credit card interest rates, capping them at 10%. We're here on February 3rd, and despite what many people were hoping for, nothing has changed yet. Credit cards are still expensive, interest rates are still high, and everyday Americans are still feeling the pressure. A big part of the confusion comes from the fact that the government funding bill has now been passed and is expected to be signed by President Trump today. Many people assumed that once this happened, things would immediately start moving faster, especially when it comes to tax refunds. Unfortunately, that's not how it's playing out. The IRS is still dealing with massive backlogs, staffing shortages, and system delays, and those problems aren't disappearing overnight. This is why millions of Americans could see their tax refunds delayed, even if they've already filed and even if everything on their return is correct. Welcome back to Rais Money Talks. On this channel, we focus on breaking down what's really happening with your money, your taxes, inflation, and the economy without the hype and without the confusion. We talk about real issues that affect real people, especially those who are already stretched thin and counting on every dollar. If you appreciate clear and honest explanations, take a second and drop a comment below that says inflation course, so I know you're interested in learning how to protect your money this year. Now, here's where the situation gets more frustrating. I was talking to a friend just the other day who was rushing to get his tax return filed as early as possible. His goal was to have his refund by February 4th because he genuinely needs that money. Like millions of Americans, he's relying on that refund to catch up on bills, pay down debt, or rebuild savings that were drained over the past year. The problem is that he likely qualifies for the Earned Income Tax Credit, and that changes everything. If you qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit, the IRS is legally required to hold those refunds until late February. That means most people in that situation will not see their money until around March 2nd or March 3rd, even if they filed early and did everything right. On top of that, there are additional delays this year that many people aren't prepared for. In 2025 alone, the IRS issued more than 93.5 million tax refunds, and about 93% of those were sent through direct deposit. That sounds efficient, but it also highlights a growing issue. Roughly 6.5 million Americans are still receiving paper checks. Under the new rules, the IRS is actively phasing out paper refund checks. If you file your tax return without direct deposit information, the IRS will still process your return, but your refund may be temporarily frozen until you either provide direct deposit details or specifically request a paper check. This added step creates more delays, more confusion, and more stress for people who are already struggling. For those who don't have a traditional bank account, this doesn't mean you're completely locked out. The IRS does allow refunds to be sent to prepaid debit cards, certain mobile payment apps, and other approved electronic methods. There are also exceptions being created for specific situations, but the reality is that this system still creates friction. The IRS is pushing away from paper checks because they cost more money, take longer to deliver, and are far more vulnerable to fraud. Every year, billions of dollars are lost because paper checks are sent to the wrong address, intercepted, or cashed by someone who was never entitled to the money. That's a major reason the government is tightening control, even though it creates short-term pain for taxpayers. What's interesting is that despite all these delays, Americans are actually expected to receive larger tax refunds this year overall. Estimates suggest an increase of somewhere between $90 billion and $100 billion in total refunds compared to previous years. Treasury officials have suggested that this influx of money could help boost the economy without causing inflation. But many analysts are skeptical, and honestly, so am I. The reality is that most people aren't planning to spend this money freely. They're planning to save it, or more accurately, they're planning to use it to plug holes that inflation created over the last 12 months. That brings me to a very important question for you. Has your savings account gone up, or has it gone down over the past year? Based on recent surveys and polls, millions of Americans are actually worse off than they were a year ago. Savings balances are shrinking, not growing. Emergency funds have been wiped out. Credit card balances are rising. People are using refunds not as extra money, but as survival money. If this question hits home for you, leave a comment below and type inflation course so I know you want practical solutions, not just headlines. One of the most common questions I get is about inflation. People are confused, and honestly, they have every right to be. We're told inflation is coming down. We hear numbers like 3.1% dropping to 2.7%, and that sounds like progress. But then people look at their grocery bills, their mortgage payments, their rent, their insurance premiums, and their medical expenses, and everything is still going up. It feels like we're being told one story while living a completely different reality. That disconnect is driving frustration, distrust, and fear about where the economy is headed. The truth is, there is a lot of mixed messaging right now. Some of it is optimism, some of it is politics, and some of it is flat-out misinformation. Even experts disagree on where the U.S. economy is going next. Are we heading towards stability, or are we just in the calm before another storm? I'll be honest with you, I don't know the exact direction either. What I do know is that waiting and hoping things improve is not a strategy. Preparation is. That's why I'm working on something new behind the scenes. I'm putting together a course designed specifically to help everyday people deal with inflation in practical ways. This is not a $997 course, and it's not filled with theory or complicated financial jargon. It's going to be affordable, straightforward, and focused on real actions you can take. I'll show you what I've personally done to lower everyday bills, reduce insurance costs, manage credit card interest, and make smarter decisions around mortgages and debt. The goal is simple: help you get through the next year with more control and a stronger savings position, not a weaker one. I'm not selling anything today, but I am gauging interest. I already have people testing these strategies, and the feedback has been genuinely life-changing for some of them. If that's something you want to hear more about when it's ready, just comment "inflation course" below. That's all you need to do. Right now, millions of Americans are waiting on tax refunds, and those refunds may arrive later than expected. Even when they do arrive, they may not fuel the spending surge the government is hoping for. Instead, we're likely to see people save the money, pay off debt, or simply catch up on overdue expenses. That tells us everything we need to know about the financial pressure households are under today. As we move forward, I'll continue bringing you updates, explanations, and strategies to help you stay informed and prepared. If this video helped you understand what's really going on, please take a moment to like it. That helps the channel more than you know. And if you want clear, honest conversations about money, inflation, and the economy, make sure you subscribe to Rais Money Talks and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.